All right. Welcome into the Fairview Social Podcast. Today's episode will be Chester Boom Part 3. For those of you that have been listening, thank you. Those of you that have been listening to the Fairview Social Podcast, it's much appreciated. You can, if you did not know that there's video to this podcast, check it out on YouTube. And you can stream the episodes on wherever the hell you stream your episodes at. I thought that most people streamed them on Spotify and Apple Music, but turns out there's a ton of different platforms, and we are on all of those. I say we, but I mean I am on all of those. So check those out. Also, believe as of the second episode of the Chester Boom series that the music is on all of those streaming platforms as well. So check those out. Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, any of those. You can check out the first Chester Boom album called Destroying All the Sparkles. I remastered the tracks that I had there so they sound a little bit better, but you can't really do anything to tracks after they're recorded other than kind of bring the volume up, make it sound a little bit nicer, kind of, I guess you would call it mastering it, but those recordings are decent. They're okay. So check those out. So in part 3 of this, I'm going to talk about, well, actually somebody said, so what's up with the name? You haven't talked about the name. And I said, oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the name. But really, at this point in the story, we did have a name of the band when we recorded Destroying All the Sparkles, but it didn't really matter because it was just me and Jeremy, and we weren't really playing shows, although we did play some acoustic stuff here and there. But the way that we got the name is we went through so many different options that there could be. I mean, you can name your band anything you want in the world. And we just went through several names, and Jesse's grandfather, our friend Jesse, his grandfather's name was Chester. At the time, I believe Jesse was living with his grandparents because he was going to college in Georgia. So, Chester was topic of conversation. He's old guy, war vet, just pretty rough around the edges kind of fellow. And Chester's actually the old guy that's on the cover of Destroying All the Sparkles. So Chester, we thought, was an awesome name back then. So we called it Chester, and then we needed something else, I guess. And we thought explosions were cool. And so we said boom. So we called it Chester Boom. I'm sorry that the story is not more entertaining or more thoughtful than that, but that's the actual, story of how we got the name. So Jesse's grandfather, Chester, and we like explosions, boom. So it kind of stuck, and we rolled with that. We were Chester Boom by the time we recorded Destroying All the Sparkles. But like I said a second ago, it didn't really matter because we weren't really playing any shows. So on this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Destroying All the Sparkles and the songs that are on that. But then we're going to kind of flip into story time, transitioning into, when we formed the band and all that. But the first song I want to talk about is a song on there called Julianna Parke. It's in a tuning, for those of you in the music world, called drop D tuning, where you take the E string and drop it down to D, so it's lower. Most rock bands use it, but it's funny because I learned drop D pretty early on when I learned how to play guitar, because I was learning how to play guitar in the 90s when a lot of bands were using it. Nirvana used it a lot, and a lot of the stuff that I learned how to play, or a lot of the ways that I learned how to play was watching Nirvana videos and just watching how, not just Nirvana, but all the bands back then, of how they were, doing the chords in their music videos. For all of you young kids out there, MTV, I don't even know if MTV exists anymore, but they used to play music videos. And it was like a big thing that if you released a music single, you're going to have a video with it. I know that there's still music videos out there now, but I think that a lot of them are, just released directly on YouTube. None of that stuff was around back then. And the way that you got your music out there was you had to know somebody, or somebody discovers you, or however the way that you get found. And then, they push you and you get famous like that. These days, a lot of the people are found on either talent shows like American Idol or America's Got Talent, or you can just very well release your music online. And then if you get a good following, then next thing you know, you've kind of hit it big. And then I'm sure all these record labels try to come after you. But I urge all of you that I would not even go through a record company at this point. It's completely pointless with social media. There's so many options of how you can get your music out there now. It's pointless. But like I said in a different episode, and I know these are small numbers compared to what a lot of people are doing, I posted a minute clip about the Two Sad Dads episode of us talking about natural light beer, and people lost their minds over it. It's got like 170,000 views or something. And again, I know that that's not huge. It's huge to me because, we don't have that many, we got plenty of people watching the videos, but, no numbers like that. So if you translate that to music, you can get it out there. And I'm actually happy for a lot of these people that there's so many good musicians out there. There's so many good people, very talented people out there, and they have a better way of getting that music out there now, and to etch out some kind of living playing music. So that's a positive part of all that. But anyway, so I was learning how to play guitar, and I learned drop D pretty early because it gives you that, lower sound, and it just it's really good with distortion, a good crunch. So Julianna Parke is one of the first, drop D Chester Boom songs. Most of that album is in standard tuning. I think Makeover, Where Is She, Julianna Parke, they're the ones that are in drop D. So, and it was always funny. I always think about this. When Jeremy was when we were in high school, like I said, I learned drop D pretty quick. But again, the only reason I learned it is because I was watching what people were doing. Remember, the internet wasn't as prevalent as it is now. It wasn't as accessible. And so I remember getting online, and I would get guitar tabs. I believe they still do those. I don't know why they wouldn't, but it just shows you how to play songs or where to put your fingers and tells you the tuning. And so that's kind of how I learned drop D. But I'll never forget, I was in high school and Jeremy was playing Everlong by Foo Fighters. And that song is in drop D. And he was trying to play it in standard tuning. For those of you that are musical, know that, you'd have to stretch your finger 2 or 3 frets down lower on your first finger in order to hit it that low. And that's how he was playing. I guess thinking back on it, I guess it's good training on how to, stretch your fingers when you're trying to play a lot of stuff. But I remember I showed him and he was like, oh, okay. That's a lot easier. And so we got a good laugh out of that. But, so this song is written in drop D. That's where you hear the dom, 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 dom. That's that drop D sound. The name of the song, Jeremy kind of named it after some cool songs or people at the time. At the time there was this artist called Julianna Hetfield, and she was an alternative artist. and she was pretty cool. And then we really liked a song called Hey Johnny Park by Foo Fighters. So Julianna Parke came from those two combinations. But yeah, it's a really cool song. It's actually one of my favorite songs on the album. I want you to check it out. I'm going to play it now. Check it out, and you can stream it on any of the platforms that you want. Check it out, and we'll be back in a second. All right, so that was Julianna Parke. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, that was a pretty cool song. The next song we're going to talk about is called Where Is She? That's also in Drop D. This is going to probably be the last one that I talk about. Might have a couple honorable mentions here in a minute, but Where Is She was a song that Jeremy had the original riff to, which was really awesome. Now, like I said in these other episodes, we wrote a lot of these songs acoustic. And so this song, Jeremy had his part, and then I wrote a riff on top of it that I was really happy with. And it sounded awesome acoustic. It doesn't translate over as well electric. And as I mentioned in the previous podcast, we had such hard distortion, and we had that Metal Zone pedal distortion. You just can't hear anything. It's all just fuzz. But the parts together are both really, really nice. It sounded great on acoustic. And, there was this thing in the 90s where there would be, you would be listening to a song. What sticks out in my head right now is a song called Mayonnaise by Smashing Pumpkins. And we really like that song. And it's like the music goes and then the song ends, and then it kind of, it gets quiet, and then it comes back up. And so our idea with Where Is She, actually my favorite part of the song is the very end of it, because the song ends and then it kind of fades into Jeremy and I playing acoustic. He's doing his part and then doing some little tweedles and stuff, just over top of my guitar. And that's honestly my favorite part of the song. It's just, I don't know, it's only about a minute, 2 minutes maybe, and it fades out. But I guess it was a popular thing to do back then, and it just sounded really nice. I liked playing that. I liked playing that live when we would play shows. Of course, it was on electric guitar, but we didn't have the distortion on. But it's just a really cool riff, a really cool idea. The song is, just a love song about wanting to find your person, find your someone, and it's a cool song. So check this out. Let me know your thoughts. Check it out streaming if you like it when you hear it on here. But I'll be back in a second.
Why do I always fall for the girl who won't give me the time of day? Or the girl who's afraid and pushes me away? And it seems like 1 in 10 of them always turns out to be gay. I guess I'm doomed to a life of emotional disarray. Where is she? It's not fair. Whoa, where is she? I know she must be out there. Whoa, where is she? God help me. I swear I'm going crazy. So where is she? Please tell me now. Whoa. Why do I always fall for the girl who's in love with someone else? She's got a million problems, but she never asks me for help. One time she said if she slept with me, she'd have to kill herself. Guess I'll just take a cold shower next time my heart begins to melt. Where is she? It's not fair. Whoa, where is she? I know she must be out there. Whoa, where is she? God help me. I swear I'm going crazy. So where is she? Where is she? I'm so lonely. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Maybe if I stop looking, she will come and find me. I like to leave these years of loneliness behind me. She'd sweep me off my feet and buy me a pack of smokes and whisk me away to her castle in the sky. Where is she? It's not fair. Whoa, where is she? I know she's gotta be out there. Whoa, whoa, where is she? God damn it, I swear I just can't stand it. So where is she? I swear I'll search the planet. Whoa, 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 whoa,
So that was Where Is She? Welcome back. Wasn't that in part pretty cool? It's just a nice, pretty sounding part of the song. I really like that part. So I'm not going to get into these other songs on here, but honorable mention here is Makeover. That was a cool song. That was the first one on the album. Pajama Pants. That one was cool. And Fairy Dust. It's funny because, Fairy Dust is actually the song that I play on this podcast, the intro and outro of the show. And just quickly on that one, I'd written the verses and the chorus and all that kind of stuff. And Jeremy had been fiddling with this riff, that one that you hear in the beginning. And this is one of those songs that we kind of Frankenstein together because he wanted to use that riff, and it actually ended up going perfect on that song. So, and it went perfect for this podcast, just fading it in and out. So I thought that was cool. You can check those songs out on your own there. But yeah, so wrapping up, well, also too, there's two hidden tracks on Destroying All the Sparkles called I'm Sorry and I Ain't Your Uncle. And they were funny at the time. Right now, I don't know that they're as funny as they were then. But I'm Sorry was a song that we wrote. It was acoustic, just like you hear on the album there. But it's just a funny, quirky song. And then I Ain't Your Uncle, when you put a couple, young guys in their early 20s, late teens, early 20s in a studio to just fuck around, it's like that's what you get. And the I Ain't Your Uncle actually comes from, we were making fun of my older brother Nathan. He's no longer with us here, but he used to just say dumb shit. And we always thought it was funny. We'd be hanging out at my house and Nathan was there and he would come in with his stories. And so a lot of the things that we are hollering out in that song are us just kind of saying his sayings, like, treat them like the whores that they are, and just saying just dumb shit. And so we thought that it was funny at the time, and we had a little extra time, so we put that on the album. So there's that. But onward here. So we recorded this album, and it didn't really, in retrospect, it didn't take that long to record it. Like I said before, the studio drummer was kind of in and out of there in a day, so we kind of had the base of everything down. And then Jeremy and I went in and recorded everything else on there. So it was a pretty quick process. It was recorded analog, which I'm a big fan of recording analog as opposed to everything digital now. I suspect that when I re-record some of the later Chester Boom stuff, I'll probably be doing it here in Holliswood Studios, and it will be digital. So I guess there's that. But things do sound a lot better when you record them analog. It just sounds more, I don't know, more raw, more, you can't really, there's not a lot of going in and correcting things. You got to just do it and do it good and take what you got. I mean, you can kind of adjust things and clip things in, but it's a lot more complicated than with digital. You're just going in and taking a piece out and putting a piece in. And now with AI coming online, it's like, hell, you can just tell it to play this song. I actually, I'm going to try that. I can probably take one of the Chester Boom songs and upload it into ChatGPT and tell it to make this song sound better, or a nice full recording of it, and it'd probably do it. I'll check back with you on the next episode of this and let you know how it goes, but I suspect that you're able to do that. But anyway, we recorded it analog. It turned out good. Now, some of this stuff is kind of overlapping, and this is where, Jeremy, here's my open invitation to you to come out and explain some of this, because I just have spotty memory. Anybody that knows me knows that, a lot of times I over exaggerate things and I forget things, and I have all the pieces mixed up. But while we were in the middle of recording all of that, we were trying to put the band together. And so our friend Jamie Bacon, who I was dating his sister and I was kind of living with them at the time, Jamie, all of his younger years growing up, he played violin, and he was a fantastic violin player. He took lessons. He was homeschooled, so it's not like, I don't know if you people out there, if it's like it is here. It's like if you join the band, you're going to play some kind of woodwind or drums or brass or something. There was no strings, anything like a violin, but he was homeschooled and he was taking violin lessons. And when we met him, he was great. He was really young. He was probably 14 or 15 when we met him. And he was awesome on the violin, and was kind of poking around, learning how to play the mandolin, which the mandolin's kind of set up the same as the violin. So it's kind of an easy transition into that. And so Jeremy and I were like, all right, we need a band. Jamie, you're going to play bass. Well, it's okay, Jamie. Don't worry. You just basically, if you were to flip that mandolin or that violin upside down, then that's the notes that the bass guitar has. And we're going to need you to learn how to play that because we want you in this band. And funny enough, he did it. He was able to do it, and he did a good job with it. And he got better as time went on. And he went on to play, even after Chester Boom, I guess Jeremy's other band, Screaming Names, with Jeremy and Ben Proctor. They played, and Jamie played bass with them. But he was good, and he turned out pretty good. So we're like, all right, awesome, we got this nailed down. So we had a bass player. So then we all three started playing together. And Jamie caught on very, very quickly, and that was awesome. But then, as you all know, the hardest part of, rounding out a band is you need a drummer, and you need a good drummer. And Jeremy was actually an awesome drummer at the time, and he kept on, we kind of kept on toying back with like, oh, he was talking about him playing drums, and we were like, no, we had the vision of him and I writing the songs and leading the band. And, this is our thing. We've been wanting to do it since high school. And so we stuck to our guns with it, and we actually found a drummer. And I could be wrong on this, but I think that we had a couple people that we looked at. We had quote unquote auditions. I remember we took a couple people over to Old Man Studios and had them try out for our band, which is funny in retrospect. This is like back in the day when you'd go into a music store and, you see, you kids, you'll see it in movies now, but like, hey, pull this, band looking for a drummer, and like have their phone number, and you like take one. And so that was the situation with this. That's how we were trying to find a drummer, just through people that we knew. And we tried out a couple guys, and I think that they just weren't the right fit. But Jamie had this childhood friend. I don't remember her name. They were friends growing up, and she knew, or she was dating this guy, Kobe. And, we always looked at him like he was just a young one, and we were like old and wisdomous. We were 19 or 20, and he was like, 16 or 17. And it's funny when you look back at it, it's like he wasn't that much younger than us, but back then we were still in the mindset of, that was a lot younger. So I don't know. And so we tried him out, and he was, he had a lot of energy, young guy. He'd been playing drums for a while. I remember that his dad was a drummer as well. So his dad was helping him learn. And so we thought more than anything, just like it is now, when you have when you're trying to hire people for a job, to me, it's more important that you fit with your personality than your skill set. And that was kind of how it was, because you can train people on whatever job you're wanting them to do. So that's kind of how we felt with Kobe. We felt like, he kind of fit us better than some of the other people that played. He seemed like a good kid. He was kind of punk rockish. And we just thought that he was a good fit. And so we started practicing with him. And it was always funny. Our first practice, I believe, as a full band was over at Jamie's house, like in a bedroom. And we were crammed in there. And we just knew that wasn't going to work. And then we ended up going over to Kobe's house. And Kobe's family was really... He was living with his dad and his brother, and they were always in the middle of remodeling their house. And it was just a weird situation. It always felt uncomfortable, but it was a space to play. So we practiced these songs, and in the whole time, Jeremy and I were writing. And I mean, there's probably hundreds of Chester Boom songs out there, most of which I've forgotten at this point, that didn't make the cut. But we were a four-piece. We had a band. We were like, we were kind of going off of Kobe, bringing people to shows. I was kind of in charge of trying to find shows, and we would find things here and there. We mainly played at a place called The Muse off of 4th Avenue in Nashville. I think it's a big-ass condominiums over there now. But, man, this place, you want to talk about shady. It was shady as hell. It was... I don't know. It was like there was the music venue, and then like living quarters upstairs where the guy that owns it, I think the guy's name was Logan. I don't know. You can, whoever out there that knew us back then, correct me on that. But it was very shady, doing tattoos and shit up there, just nasty, But we didn't give a shit. We were like, man, we're playing shows, and we had quite a few people come. It just depended on the day, but. We would get stuck playing in the beginning or playing in the end after the crowds leave, because the way that they set it up is, it'd be like 3 or 4 or 5 bands playing that night. And some of the music that I'm going to show you coming up here on future episodes, I don't know how many more of these I'll do, most of those recordings take place at the Muse. And so we were able to do that. So we were practicing, and we came up with a lot of new songs pretty quick. We wrote probably most of the second album very quickly. We released this album called we released an album called Does This Sound Bad? Because I remember I went to the store and I was like, we need to record these practice sessions. And so releasing an album for us was like, you put something together and burn a CD of it and then make copies of it and try to sell them at shows, So, the recordings of the practice sessions it was funny because we were trying to get the best sound out of this little voice recorder that I bought. And it came with like a little leather bag. And so every time you hear one of those recordings on that album, Does This Sound Bad? It's like you would hear zzz, like with me zipping it up and putting the recorder in another room and then us playing the songs. So I go back, I've been listening to some of those and it's pretty funny, but it was kind of cool to see the evolution of several of the songs because we were still kind of using the method because me and Jeremy were hanging out all the time. We would write things acoustically, sitting in the living room floor of his apartment with the bowls of cereal. If you haven't listened to the other episodes, the bowls of cereal are cigarette ashtrays. And we would sit there and we'd write songs, and then we'd go and we'd take them to the band and we'd play them. And Kobe did okay. I don't know. Kobe, if you're out there listening to this, you weren't very good. You weren't very good. Yeah, every one of the songs, it was sped up to about 100 miles an hour. There was no understanding of like tempo and all that kind of stuff. Kobe may very well be a great drummer now, but he was not a great drummer then. But we had him in the band, and he was a part of the band. Very much not like us, that we came to learn pretty quick because we're very mild-mannered. Between me, Jamie, and Jeremy are very mild-mannered, and Kobe was like balls to the wall, 100 miles an hour on everything. So, but yeah, he wasn't great, but God bless him, So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk more on the next episode of this about those new songs. I will forewarn you that we have probably one or two good recordings of those songs. That next album is called I Don't Want to Be Here. And we had all the artwork and we had all the songs we recorded. We were playing a show at a place called Blue Sky Court one time. And it was a big show, probably the biggest show that we had ever done. There was a lot of people there because there was other bands playing, but we had this place was legit. It wasn't like a crack house like the Muse was. And that was a good show. We really try to promote that one because it was at such a nice place. It was one of those kind of things where we felt like we had made it in Nashville because we were able to play there. I don't know what's there now. Hell, for all I know, it could still be a place where local bands go and play. But that show was awesome because we met a guy. His name was Jay Seaman. We met this guy, and he wanted to do a spec deal. That's what they call it, where they record the album and then something comes of it, then they get a cut of it. And so that kind of led us down the path of recording our album, I Don't Want to Be Here. And I actually have that recording. I have the CD of it, although it's very scratched up and hard to play, and I haven't been able to play it on anything until Nikki's Tahoe. I forgot had a CD player in it. It was before they stopped putting CD players in those things, and I got it to play in there. And for, I don't know, good Lord, 20 years I've been wanting to hear what's on that disc, but I never took good care of it, and it was scratched to shit, so I couldn't get it to play on any of these CD player things that I've bought on Amazon over the years. And it played on there, and I was so let down because the recording wasn't very great. I mean, it didn't even sound as good as Destroying All the Sparkles, which doesn't sound 100% great. I mean, it's enough to listen to the song and get by, but it just wasn't great. So I was really disappointed in that. So we had some other recordings that we'll talk about on the next episode. But it's been fun doing these Chester Boom podcasts. I really do appreciate all of you that have checked out the music. Again, it's not even who I am anymore. It's not who Jeremy is anymore. It's fun to take a trip down memory lane. Again, Jeremy, I would love to have your perspective on it, and we can start this sucker over and go back from the beginning and fill in all the gaps. But on the next episode, I will get into I Don't Want to Be Here. I'll show you some of the artwork, and we do have a song called Make Believe World that we do have a really good recording of, and we'll get into that next time. But in the meantime, check out the podcast, www.thefairviewsocialpodcast.com, and check out the Chester Boom songs on all of your streaming platforms. And check out our TikTok videos and Facebook videos. They're funny. I try to get the best clips. But thank you all again. Appreciate everything, all the support. And we'll see you on the next Chester Boom Part 4. See ya.